If to imagine that every country has its own voice, then the voice of Ukraine would be Bandura. An ensemble of 3 voices is represented by the Trio of Bandura Players of Ukrainian Radio. Further about them in the program Ukraine on Stage. The bandura is not just a Ukrainian musical instrument. It is a symbol of both national culture and of Ukraine as a whole. There are music schools of Kobza Bandura players. The bandura as a subject is taught in music schools, colleges and conservatories. Artists bandura players perform as soloists and as part of ensembles, orchestras and chapels. The greatest popularity in Ukraine was won by such a variety of ensemble as the Trio of Bandura Players. One of them is the Trio of Bandura Players of the Ukrainian Radio. It was created in 2004 from the artists of the orchestra folk instruments of the radio company Ukraina. In 2004, the team won at the international contest in Moscow. In the same year, the trio represented Ukraine at the Days of Ukrainian Culture in Poland, 2005, 2008 and 2011, the years of participation of the Bandura Trio in the International Folk Festival Euro Radio. The musical ensemble participated in a number of international festivals in Kolomea, Ukraine, New York, USA and Vilnius, Lithuania. Trio Bandura Players are a constant participant of direct TV and radio broadcasts. They have recorded 3 CDs and are touring in Ukraine and abroad. For me, a trio of Bandura players is not only a job, it's a dream that has been realized. It's a dream that I've been living through all my life, because when I heard the Trio of Bandura Players, it fascinated me. Tatiana Molomush is a people's artist of Ukraine and the head of the trio. She is a graduate of the Uman Music School, studied at the Kyiv State Conservatory in the classes of Albina Sheptitska and Serhiy Bashtan. She started her career in the orchestra of folk instruments of Ukrainian Radio. She is a laureate of many national and international festivals and competitions and a jury member of international competitions, professor of the Tchaikovsky National Music Academy. When I started to work in the orchestra of folk instruments, I began examining who is the first violin, who is the second, who is the third. We looked at each other, and in 2004, when Olha Cherny and Irina Burhan came, we created a trio. The National Radio Company of Ukraine is a huge organization that provides not only recording, editing and broadcasting services, but also has a number of creative collectives, a symphony orchestra, an academic chorus, a folk and popular music orchestra, a children's choir, chamber music ensembles and soloists. More than 30 years of Bandura art in Ukraine and far beyond its borders has been represented by the trio of Bandura players of this company, Alla Shutko, Antonina Momchenko and Svetlana Petrova. They were replaced by Tatiana Molomush, Olha Cherny and Irina Burhan. Not so long ago, the group has changed, and today, together with Tatiana Molomush, they are Katerina Kovrik and Katerina Shapeluk. I will always remember my first concert with this band. It was in the teacher's house. I was very nervous then. I was very well prepared and I learned everything I could. But because of the excitement, when I appeared on stage, at first I even started to overcharge my voice part. But thanks to the girls who supported me, the concert was perfect. When I saw the reaction of the audience, I realized that this trio was for me. For almost 10 years, Katerina Kovrik sings in the Trio of Bandura Players of Ukrainian Radio. She graduated from the Tchaikovsky National Music Academy, the class of Professor Halina Menkush and Serhiy Bashtan, laureate of national and international competitions. In addition, Katerina is a poetess and a member of the Writers' Union of Ukraine. She has already published 3 collections of poems. These are our graduates, and Katerina is brilliant soprano. Tatiana Molomush is a wonderful singer and she is fluent on the bandura. Not by chance, she is a teacher of the bandura in our academy. The Trio of Ukrainian Radio is a very good professional team. They demonstrated a brilliant program with an orchestra of folk and popular music. The Trio of Bandura Players of the National Radio is original in that they are running for works with the orchestra, and this is difficult. This is a high level of cooperation, which opens the opportunities for them, not only as bandura players, but also as a vocal trio. Our best work is based on mutual creativity and friendship. Our friendship turned into developed long-term cooperation with creative projects. We gave many concerts and tours around Ukraine, in Hungary and other countries where we represented Ukrainian art. The most important thing is tremendous work before recording. When we check every voice, we learn all the songs by heart. That's what we need to sing for the concert program. We imagine viewers so that there is no formalism. Because the smallest falsity in the recording is very audible, and this is unacceptable. We need to prepare for each recording emotionally. This is not easy work. The bandura, in and of itself, is an instrument that is difficult to record because it is preserved in its original form. This bandura differs from first music instruments, which Kobzars played. It has become more perfect mechanically, but in its essence, it has a difficult sounding mechanism that requires scrupulous tuning.
который требует скрупулезной настройки, вызвучки. Вот в случае нашего трио, конечно, это владение.
The case of our trio is unique because the musicians play the bandura virtuously. It is perfect.
По-моему, все-таки главная специфика, потому что они стараются.
They try to use the bandura rather as polyphonic instrument than an accompaniment instrument.
Аккомпанирующий инструмент, как инструмент полифонический.
Therefore, they transcend beyond the genre itself.
За рамки жанра.
We started recording settings. We have already sonatas by Bortnyansky and Marcello. We also recorded a few of the cycles of French clavecin music and jazz arrangements of Ukrainian folk songs and an instrumental cycle.
Українських народних пісень, цикл інструментальний саме.
The specificity of the recording was a new facet in my creative work. The most difficult thing for me was to get along with other participants of the trio. It is one thing when we engage in music in a classroom, and quite another thing to hear the living sound on a stage when you hear the girls. But when we record music, we use a microphone, and it is difficult to define the level of our sounding.
як вести себе, як показати свій голос.
We should also take into consideration how to make the necessary vocal and instrumental balance.
Вокальний і інструментальний.
Katerina Shepeluk started playing in ensemble only quite recently, but this work really fascinates her. Shortly before, Katya had graduated from the Rivne Musical College. Now she studies at the Tchaikovsky National Music Academy of Ukraine. Oksana Kazantseva and Ivan Panasuk are her tutors. This collective has a very high creative potential. All of us are in a creative search, and this fact unites us. We have common interests. We search for new musical compositions and new forms of work together. We also cooperate with composer Viktor Stepurko. Composer Viktor Stepurko not only writes music for a lot of collectives of Ukrainian Radio, but he also makes arrangements of other music compositions. The Trio of Ukrainian Bandura Players has a lot of such composition in its repertoire. Moreover, the girls have close creative cooperation with Ivan Taranenko, Yuri Alzhnev, Anna Havrilets and Miroslav Skorik. Besides, the trio performs the compositions of Anatoly Kos-Anatolsky, Ihor Poklad and Platon Mybroda. One of the last programs includes a cycle of songs by Bogdan Veselovsky.
У наших фондах вивчила всі фондові записи.
I have already learned all the compositions recorded by a former trio and made a list of songs which could be included in our program.
Які пісні могли б доповнити вже зроблену роботу. Тому яку пісню вибрати для запису.
We choose ourselves what songs could be recorded. I am also following the programs which are broadcast on radio. I choose compositions that I consider to be necessary.
Передачі в нас на радіо, можливо, це зв'язано з якимись цікавими там датами.
They can be related to interesting events. I also use new trends, namely jazz arrangements performed on different instruments.
Такі популярні обробки із включенням різних інструментів.
Archival recording is a very complex process. During it, the musicians are in a very stressful state professionally and physically as well. Besides, it requires a strong emotional concentration. The musicians work a lot of hours and record only a few of the musical bars.
Ми ніколи не знаємо.
We never know what version of music composition will be the best.
Трактовки музичного твору буде от саме це.
Because our sound engineer Mikhailo Ditkovsky, with whom we have been cooperating for a long time, can say, move the tempos in this composition, play slower here.
Темп зруште, можливо, і повільніше. А чому ви так?
Why are you playing so fast? I would play it in a different way. He takes an active part in recording because he knows that we are able to do more.
В нашому запису.
Якщо вже говорити про те, як
If to talk about how Bandura playing is perceived in the world, we may say that it is perceived as something modern and wonderful.
Не просто сучасне, а дивовижне.
Very few people are able to sing so well to the accompaniment of folk instruments and in particular the bandura. The bandura can reproduce sounding of the entire orchestra, and it goes without saying when it comes to 3 banduras, so our trio is very unique. There are a lot of interesting and unique instruments in Ukrainian culture. The bandura occupies a special place in it. Different kinds of modern banduras have from 60 to 70 strings and mechanical key switches. There's even an electro bandura. Today the bandura is becoming more and more popular at different concert venues, from philharmonic halls to jazz and rock clubs. I'm very glad that radio collectives became closer to a concert format and that the studio became accessible to the listener and viewer. We started performing in halls before a viewing audience, which gives us positive emotions. Not only play for recording, but we also get a creative exchange.
І ти, напевно, живеш саме якраз в ті моменти, як музикант.
A musician lives while he or she is performing on the stage.
Все, що ми робимо
Everything we do in a studio when we prepare a music composition for recording is necessary to push off and fly.
Готуєшся до того, щоб от стрибнути або полетіти, от як взльотно-посадочна полоса.
But when we are on the stage, we always fly. It almost seems as if we're in outer space. Therefore, I'm grateful to the fate that it brought me together with the bandura and the collective that gives me the opportunity to fly.
Який мені дає можливість літати.
The Trio of Bandura Players of Ukrainian Radio goes on a lot of concert tours. The musicians are participants of many international festivals and days of culture of Ukraine in other countries. They honorably represent Ukraine at the Folklore Festival of the participating countries at the Euro Radio EBU.
Вся політика європейської мовної
The policy of the European Radio Broadcasting Union is aimed at showing the originality of each country,
кожної країни.
and each country should develop its traditional folk art.
Народне. І те, що в нас
The fact that we have a folk collective and a trio of bandura players differentiates the Ukrainian culture sphere from the European one.
Культурної сфери європейської. Що ми можемо показати Європі?
We can represent Ukrainian folklore in Europe. Ukrainian folk instruments are one of a kind in the world, and their sounds astonish everyone. Wherever we go, Ukrainian folk instruments are the visiting card of Ukraine.
Це як символ України.
It is difficult to say what is more important for a trio of musicians, recording on a radio or a live concert performance. Probably both elements, as they are two integral parts of one unique creative collective, the Trio of Bandura Players of Ukrainian Radio.
Нам потрібно більше
We need to create more themed programs and perform as a concert collective, communicating with the audience, because people need to hear our wonderful creative work.
нашої творчості.